Morning folks, how you doing? It's a mucky wet day out there, so I'm holed up in the gear room. I thought I'd use this opportunity to do a wee channel update, let you know what I've been up to, which I'll stitch into the end of the video. But before that, I'm going to do a wee gear chat, and I'm going to talk specifically about panniers, and I'm going to look at the range of panniers that I have, the Ortlieb range. I've got several other panniers that I use, but I'm going to talk specifically about the Ortlieb and try to answer a question that I'm often asked: what's the optimum size of pannier to clip onto the rear of the bike? Well, in terms of my own outdoor activities in Scotland, there's not an easy answer to that, and it really depends on season, to be absolutely honest, because I can show you three different bags here. I've got the large capacity panniers on the back just now, and I've got this mid-range, and I've got these small ones, and depending on the season, these bags might all end up carrying exactly the same thing. To be clearer on that, they might hold just my sleep system with one or two items of clothing as a kind of thermal layer for heat. So in the summer months, my sleep system's pretty lightweight, don't need much additional clothing at all, and this little Ortlieb gravel pack, which is 12.5 litres, 25 litres a pair, is absolutely adequate. For the shoulders of the year, for the spring and the autumn, where I need a heavier weight sleeping bag, then I would probably use this, the Ortlieb Rear Roller Classic, which is 20 litres or 40 litres for a pair, and I can get my sleep system in, and I can get a warmer jacket in there as well, or a warmer top if I need it for sitting around camp in the evening. And then these ones here, this is a new addition, and this is an absolutely massive pannier, which comes in at 70 litres for the pair, 35 litres, and it is the oh, I can't remember the name of it now. It's Ortlieb Pro Classic, I think that's correct. So this is very much an expandable bag, tall bag, and really gives you a huge amount of volume, where I can easily get in a winter sleep system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these upstairs into the warmth of my office, and I'll show you putting a sleep system in for different seasons in Scotland, and you'll get an idea of how these function. Before I do that, I'll just mention my Surly Krampus, which I've been out and about a bit on the Surly recently, but I haven't taken the cameras along with me. And what I'm doing is I'm messing about with this bike, looking at different ways that I can use it, but I'm really interested in how I might be able to use this as a load carrying beast for the winter season in Scotland, where I can travel relatively short distances because of the absence of daylight, and I can carry quite a lot of gear. So if you're winter camping in Scotland, any of you that have done that, which I'm sure a lot of you have, you'll realise that you've got so many hours of darkness. Basically, you have daylight from around 8 o'clock in the morning till about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you want to be setting up your camp before dark, you really have to be established before 4 o'clock. And then you've got from 4 o'clock in the afternoon all the way through to 8 o'clock the following morning. camp gear in there. Then I've got my Jones bars on the top, and I've got a wee Jones bag that fits into the handlebars. Then I've got my tools and spares in this little dry bag, I suppose, and then on the back 2 really large panniers. And I'm also thinking about investing in a new tent, an even bigger tent that I can use when Mo and I go away together. So I use Crux tents just now, geodesic tent, 4 poles, super strong, quite good for the 2 of us, but not a lot of elbow room if you're in the tent for any length of time. Great when I'm on my own, but I'm thinking about getting a Crux 3-person tent, which is a relatively new product for them, so it's quite expensive. I'm not totally convinced that I'm going to shell out for one of these new tents, but I'm quite attracted to it. And that would sit on the back. This is a Surly steel rack that's on the back. So this bike, although originally I thought that I was going to go down the bike packing route with this bike, I've decided to go heavy. So I put steel rack front and rear. I've invested in these large capacity panniers for the back, and I've got the porterhouse bag on the front, so you can see that it's anything but lightweight. I can carry everything, including the kitchen sink on this bike now, so I'm quite keen on getting a trip underway at some point, although I'm waiting on colder, drier, settled weather if we're ever going to get that this autumn. It just seems to have rained and rained and rained this year. Anyhow, I'm blethering. Shall I gather up these bags? We'll nip up to the office and I'll show you putting together a sleep system and how very easily and quickly you can fill the volume of these bags. Before I go upstairs, I better get something to fill the bags with. I said I was going to show you my sleep system. I do have some sleeping bags in the house, but I've got a lot more here. Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for. That's the one I'm looking for. Oh, it's a bit warmer in here, folks. My gear room is heated, but I didn't have the heating on this morning. I think I'm going to lose a layer. Then I'll get down to showing you how I can very quickly fill the volume in these different Ortlieb panniers. Let me just drop this over here. So I've got the panniers up here. Let me turn that camera around so you can see what I'm doing. Okay folks, I think I'll start off by showing you the stuff sacks that these sleeping bags go into, but first I'll pan the camera over the sleeping bags. Let me do that. So the stuff sacks that these sleeping bags go into, I'm going to start with this synthetic sleeping bag, a lightweight sleeping bag, although it's not actually the lightest sleeping bag I've got. It's a Vango 200, there is a Vango 100, I'm not sure if they still make these sleeping bags, but it's a synthetic bag, it's pretty lightweight and it's reasonably packable. I can actually get this Vango 200 into, I think it's a 6-litre stuff sack that I sometimes use with it. This morning I'm just going to put it in this, I think this is about a 10-litre stuff sack that I've got, just because I couldn't put my hands on the 6-litre one. So here we have a synthetic sleeping bag, which I've actually used this for summer, summit camping in the summer in Scotland. It's a good enough sleeping bag to take away in the summer months, especially if I'm on the bike. And the thing that I do like about it is because it's synthetic, it doesn't matter if it gets a bit damp. So that will pretty easily go into there. And also, because it's a cheap and cheerful sleeping bag and it is synthetic, I don't mind about really crushing it down and reducing the the volume. There you go. So it packs down a good way. This sleeping bag here is my spring and autumn sleeping bag, and to be honest, I've actually found it reasonably comfortable as a summer sleeping bag as well. And if I get a little bit too warm, then I simply unzip it. It's got not quite a full length zip. It would be close to a full length zip if the sleeping bag came in a standard length, but because I'm a bit tall, I tend to prefer to go for a long sleeping bag, which you can't actually get in this. This is just a standard off the peg, off the shelf sleeping bag, this Vango one, but these are Tundra Pure and Dry, so these are actually, they call them waterproof sleeping bags. It's got a water resistant outer. I'm pretty sure it's not completely water proof, but it is water resistant. It's got an outer, a Pertex outer that will shed water, and it's got hydrophobic down in it, ethically sourced down. So fairly high-end sleeping bag, to be honest, rated to -5, and I can use this through much of the year. Definitely not warm enough for winter camping in Scotland, where you're going to be holed up in the tent for any considerable length of time, whiling away the hours of darkness, but for spring and autumn it's more than up for the job. And for the summer I do tend to use it unless the forecast is for particularly warm nights, in which case I would leave it behind. But you know, on the cooler summer nights it's fine, and if you get a wee bit warm you can just unzip it. So the zip goes down to within about 40 centimetres of the bottom on this extra long version, and this will go into this, I don't know how many litres this is, I don't think it's got a literage on it, it's just called a medium dry sack. So it's one of the low alpine ones. This is actually Mo's one, it's got her name on the bottom of it, I see. So it'll go in there and I can get at least 3 turns, probably 4 or even 5 turns on it. So it'll go into about that size, which is actually very close to the size of this now that this is puffed up, but I can actually get this one cinched down even further. So so the two bags quite similar in terms of volume, but in terms of heat rating, then this one is definitely the best. So I would opt for this or a lighter version of this for the high summer, then this for the spring and autumn, and for the cooler summer evenings if the forecast is showing that the evenings are not going to be particularly warm. And then for the winter, if I can just reach over out of shot there, this is the stuff sack for my winter bag, and this winter bag is absolutely perfect for most of the stuff that I do in winter, except where I'm occasionally summit camping in extreme cold, and then I have an expedition, a RAB expedition bag that I tend to use, which is much warmer. Although this one here, you can see this is a large volume bag. I can't remember the statistics on this, but I think it's rated to -30. So the other one is -5. There's a massive difference between the two bags. Anyway, we're not talking about sleeping bags, we're talking about bike bags. I need to film all that again. Maybe. Blethering. So over here we have my summer weight sleeping bag, matched with an Ortlieb gravel pack, which comes in at 12.5 litres capacity. And then up here, which I didn't mention before, is the addition to my sleep system. So that's my sleeping pad, and in the wee blue stuff sack at the top, it's a little inflatable pillow. That sleeping pad that I've got there looks quite big, and I tend to use it year round, in fact, because it's super comfortable. It's one of these Thermarest Neo Air X bed in the larger size, so it's a little bit longer and also a little bit wider. And I can't remember what the R rating is on it, but it's pretty high, so I probably wouldn't need to take that in the summer if I didn't want to. I just like the comfort of it. So I do have a couple of lighter weight sleeping pads, one of which I tend to use for bothying, because the only thing that I would say against the Thermarest Neo Air X bed in extra large, to give it its full title, is the cost of them. They're super expensive, and when I'm bothying, when you're laying it on an old wooden floor where there's a possibility of splinters or nails or something like that, I don't want to get it punctured, so I tend to use it only when I'm in the tent. This is the system for the kind of shoulders of the year, if you like, where in the springtime it's still a little bit cold, I need a little bit more heat, and in the autumn time, so I use this heavier weight sleeping bag mixed with my classic Ortlieb Pannier, which you see all over the place. This is what most people are using. That's 20 litre pannier, so 40 litres for the pair. And I also, going back to the Thermarest and my wee pillow, I take that with me. I think it's a C2 Summit pillow, can't remember. Anyway, at the risk of getting distracted again, we'll just ignore that. And in the winter time, I take this sleeping bag, which is my Tundra, rated down to -30, so overkill for most people, but I do sleep cold and I like to be comfortable. I take that, and I can actually fit it into that pannier, but it pretty much fills it. So I've invested in these Classic Pros, which are 35 litres or 70 litres for the pair. So let me put these sleep systems in and I'll show you what the panniers look like when they're loaded. Can you see me there? I'm not very proficient at filming indoors, folks. So there we are, my summer weight sleeping bag sits in the bottom quite nicely. My super comfy and warm sleeping pad and my pillow in there. We'll cinch that down. My summer weight sleeping bag. Usually what I do when I pack this bag, this goes in the bottom and it fills that space in the bottom. That can go down there as well. And now I've definitely got room for a thermal jacket to go on the top of that. But let me just cinch it down. Now these are designed, there's a strap that goes round there, through there, and then back to that one. In common with a lot of people, I totally ignore that and I just do that and just tighten the top. So that is my system, my sleep system for spring and autumn. And then when the weather starts to get cooler, in the past I've always tried to squeeze that into there, because I have just invested in these Rear Roller Classics, Rear Roller Pro Classics. So this is the Rear Roller Classic here. Because I've invested in this, the Pro version, which has got a crazy 70 litres for two, 35 litres each. I actually think that for me, personally, if this had come in, so this is 20 litres, this is 35, I think if this had come in at, you know, 30 litres instead of the 35, or if it come in maybe even at about sort of 26, something like that, it might have been better. It does seem particularly huge. Having said that, I've never actually put anything in these yet, so, and I've certainly not given them a field test, so I'm going to slacken it off, see how it all works. Right, I see I can slacken that even more if I can figure out how to do it. Right, that's it completely slackened up. So you see how wide that is. It's incredible. And there's a bit there for your wet gear or whatever, a second non-waterproof external pouch, I would call it. So let's see, how are we going to do this? I'm going to put that in first, I think, the same as these ones. And it looks like I've got a massive amount of space. However, I'm going to take it out. I think probably the best way to do that is to put it in that way. And then put that in there. Definitely got room for more gear in there. You have to bear with me, folks, I've never actually tried to load these before, so let me see if I can get my 3 turns on that. Is that 3 turns? Or is that 2 turns? I think that was 3, I'm not totally sure. And this has a similar system to tying it down as that one, so there's a strap, it's actually in the bottom of this bag. It goes from here, and where does it go? It goes through there and there. These bits there, if you can see that. So unlike this one where it just goes through one on the front, it's the same idea, but there's 2 of them, one on each corner. I have a suspicion that I might forgo the straps on it and just do exactly the same as I do with that. And then if you want extra security, you can put that over the top like that. So it doesn't look very neat or very pretty because I've literally just thrown that in there. But you can see that these 3 bags are essentially carrying the same thing. So folks, the other thing that I might want to put in the top of the pannier is my thermal layer. And as you would expect, the bulk and indeed of course the weight of the thermal layer varies with the season. So I've got 3 examples here. There's actually 4 examples. Underneath this lightweight Rab down jacket, I've got I'll just move the Rab jacket out of the way and I'll show you this Hagloff's synthetic jacket that I sometimes use in the summertime. There's no hood on that, and it's really a very lightweight smock or vest that is windproof but not waterproof at all. I've used that a lot, and actually I really enjoy using that jacket, but in more recent times I've been using this Rab jacket, which I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with, and that packs down to a fairly tiny volume. Just it goes into a wee stuff sack. This Hagloff's jacket actually folds into its own pocket. I'll fold them up and show you what they're like when they're compressed down. And then in the spring and the autumn I'll quite often use this Montaigne jacket, which is probably one of the cheapest bits of equipment that I've got in terms of technical clothing for the outdoors, and I really enjoy this. I think great value for money, this jacket. Synthetic jacket, still warm if it gets a bit wet. It's fairly loose fitting, comfortable to wear, and I can put a shell layer over the top of it without any trouble at all. So Montaigne jacket that I use in the spring and in the autumn. And then in the full depth of winter, I don't actually carry this on cycling tours very often, to be honest, but this is a proper RAB expedition jacket. Now they make the Batura jacket, which is based on this, I think. This is a fully waterproof down jacket that I think it's suitable for climbing up and over the top of big mountains, 7,000 meter mountains probably. I find it really beautiful bit of equipment if it's used in the right setting. So I do sometimes carry it with me when I'm on the bike, but mostly I use it if I'm summit camping in Scotland, and it really is a beautifully warm layer to put on after you've made the climb. It's no use for high activity because it's simply too warm, but once you get up there and you're getting your camp established, and then, as I say, you've got all these hours of darkness to fill, if you don't want to climb into your sleeping bag immediately, putting this on is tantamount to wearing a sleeping bag. Really nice piece of equipment, but not packable at all. You can't reduce the volume of this very much. So let me throw these into the, at least these ones, into the panniers and show you what the finished pannier looks like one by one. And then we'll talk about the super high volume winter jacket later. Okay folks, so we're going to do a bit of packing now. Just realise I'm almost out of frame. I need to come and move that camera. I think I'm okay. So I've gone through to the other room, and I've got another sleeping pad and another pillow, so I can actually pack it up properly. So that's this is my summer gear. So that's my RAB jacket, which actually I can bleed that over and use it into the autumn, and I can also use it at the end of the winter into spring. It's quite a warm jacket, and you can see that it packs down quite small, quite nicely. That is the Haglofts one. So the Haglofts one seems to be actually a little bit bigger, but it's just because it folds into its pocket, and actually it can go down a little bit smaller than the RAB one. It's just, as I say, the system where it folds into its pocket. They're giving you a generous amount of space to put it in. And then that is my Montaigne jacket, which it's a little bit bigger. It's not a huge amount bigger, but it's very much heavier. So, and that is the one that I would rely on if I was going out in the spring or the autumn and it was going to be cold in the evenings. Although it's big and bulky and it's not nearly as technical, I actually really enjoy wearing this jacket. It's a comfortable jacket, and I've had it reasonably wet, and it still is a layer that affords good heat retention and protection from the elements. So let's go back to packing again. This is my summer sleeping bag, which is actually expanded a little bit during the time that we've been chatting. I could probably do with cinching it down a little bit, and then I'll put my sleeping pad in, and I'll put my pillow in. I'll get the pillow down in there, and I'll put my Haglofts jacket in just because it's the one that came to hand first. Let's see if I can squeeze that down in there. Like that. So plenty of room. Put that in there. Because the clips on this are retained on the side, let me bring that in a little bit and show you. They're retained on the side of the bag. There's less flexibility in terms of being able to squeeze in a little bit extra material or volume into the top of it, if that makes sense. Don't know if I explained that very well, but basically, because that has got to fold over and go there, you have to make sure that you leave enough turns on the top. So there you go. That's a sleep system for summertime, combined with a nice toasty warm thermal layer for the evenings and early mornings when you're at camp or breaking camp. So let's do the same for the spring and the autumn. We'll put in the sleeping bag that's rated down to -5. No, we won't. We'll put in the sleeping mat first because we're on this pannier bag that's very much tapered, so this is a little bit too wide to go in the very bottom. It goes in like that, tends to work a little bit better. And I've still got some volume down there where, I don't know if you can see that, where I can get some more gear in if I need some more clothing and stuff like that. I've got my jacket on the top. To be honest, that jacket, well, I put it in a stuff sack to show you what it looks like in terms of volume. If I was actually going on a trip, I wouldn't put it in a stuff sack. I just put it loose in the bag like that because these panniers are actually waterproof, and I would just use it to fill out the space in the bag. It makes the bag look a whole lot neater, there's less folds, it goes in like that. 1, 2, 3, I can get an extra, I can get 4 on there. I'm up and over the top just as I showed you before, so not using them exactly as they're designed. And this one should clip in there, but I've got a repair to do because I actually managed to pull the clip off on a recent trip. So there you are. So that is summertime, spring and autumn. I hope you can see that okay. I'm not sure about that camera angle. Hold them up. And then, going to my winter system, I haven't actually packed this jacket away. But what I can tell you is that's the stuff sack for it. So it goes into that bag there, and that it pretty much fills the whole of that bag pretty tightly. And even with this huge volume pannier with such a big sleeping bag inside it, and then this, I doubt very much that I would be able to squeeze them both into a single pannier. So 35 litres here, 35 litres on the other side of the bike. I would put the sleeping bag in one, and I'd put my nighttime jacket in the other one, and that would use up a lot of volume, and then the remaining volume I would use for other things. Well folks, I'm working away editing the footage that I shot this morning down in the gear room and here in the office, realising that I took 30 minutes to explain something that I could have told you in 3 minutes. Basically, the executive summary is you need a big bag for winter bulk, you need a wee bag for your lightweight summer gear, and a middle-sized bag for the spring and autumn. Anyhow, I had fun shooting that video, and I hope you had some enjoyment in watching it, especially if you've stuck with it right to the end. What I've done, or I'm doing before I upload this, I'm going to put in a few stills. So I've been out and about a bit, but I haven't had time to shoot any proper videos for you. So hence this little channel update, I suppose. I've been doing a lot of work in the garden, an autumn tidy up, so I know that some of you are interested in the garden. I'll put in a few stills where basically it's just cutting back the herbaceous perennials, but I've done a lot of lifting and dividing, and actually I've had a big clear out. I'm looking forward to getting some exciting new plants into the garden in the spring of next year. And I finished off by doing a little bit of top dressing. I also have a little bit of fence down on this side of the property next to my neighbour's garden gate, which the fence was badly built. It was a bit of an eyesore, so I took it to bits, and I was able to recycle all the wood and turn a badly built fence into functioning gate. So now I've got a gate on either side of the property and I can go all the way around. So I'll show you a couple of stills of that. Not the most exciting stuff, but at least it explains what I've been up to. And I have actually been out and about a wee bit. I did a long coastal walk and got back well after dark. Didn't take a camera with me, but I did have my telephone, and I think I captured 2 or 3 very short segments of video on my telephone, so I'll put them in for you as well. And then at the weekend in that glorious weather, Mo and I went for quite a long hike up and over the Lamram Muirs, which I've featured in the channel many a time. So we didn't take the camera, but I did capture 1 or 2 stills with my telephone, so I'll put them in as well. So thanks as ever for tuning in, folks. Something a wee bit different, quite a lot of droning on, so apologies for that, but as I say, I hope you got some entertainment out of this, and I very much look forward to getting back to you on the next one with a proper video and a proper adventure. I'm just waiting on the weather settling a little bit, and I've also got a couple of things in the diary that I need to get out of the way first, but it's very much a case of watch this space. I do have some plans for the autumn, and I'm sure that it won't be too much longer before I get out with the cameras and get a decent video for you. So thanks again, folks. Stay safe. Bye for now.